Okay, everyone, welcome back to what is episode 7 of Fast and Loose Podcasting, Destiny Down Under. I am your host, Clint, and I have got Blake and Jacob with me. How you guys going?
Hey, good. Everyone's good. Jacob?
Yeah, going well.
Have we got someone else here as well?
I think so. I think some weird person jumped into our room and wanted to have a chat with us.
Cheers, guys.
Wine in hand.
Hey, let's welcome BobbySapphire from the Hyperloops.
Hey, thanks for having me.
What is it? I had this nice little intro prepared. It was Mr. Mike, Bobby, you know what, dude, Sapphire, Gem.
There you go. Perfect.
There we go.
I was going to say
I got
on
it.
my tombstone.
I got it in one. All right, how you going, Bobby?
Yeah, everything's great. Great, living the life. I've only been up about 20 minutes, but yeah, I'm ready to rock.
You're alert and ready to go.
Yeah,
Good
I'm
to
ready.
hear.
I left my coffee downstairs, but I'm good. I can do this.
That's all right.
I'm ready.
Oh,
That's
it's
all right.
so weird. It's like so late for us. And you're like, I just left my coffee, been up for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The time zone thing's so weird.
What do you mean
Yeah.
it's late for you, Blake? It's like 7:30.
Yeah, but I wake up at like 10 to 6.
Oh, that's right. You've got kids.
Rough life.
Yeah,
Anyway.
good life.
We didn't come here to talk about that.
No,
However,
we didn't.
That's
All right,
happening.
let's. What's been happening with you, Bobby? You've been grinding a bit on TTS. I've noticed.
Yeah, I've been playing TTS nonstop. I'm on summer vacation from teaching high school, and pretty much any minute I have, if my wife is like doing something for 20 minutes, I'm like, I can squeeze in a game. I'll just play like a really aggressive deck. And yeah, I've been losing a lot, like more than I've ever lost before. It's amazing how
That's
much
fantastic.
I'm losing. I went to a store champ on Sunday, and I went 0-2 drop. But,
Oof.
I mean, to be fair, my losses were to Joe and Nick, my partners from the Hyperloop. So, you know, it's good competition. I don't expect to win the games, every game I play against them. But I've been losing a lot on TTS too, and just trying to solve the Gencon meta, just trying to figure out what I'm going to play.
There's so much to test. Right? There's so many things happening.
Yeah, there's so many decks that I think are probably pretty good, but not jumping out of my seat to like go grind out, and like I don't think they'll be good unless you figure out the perfect version and know them inside and out. And
Yeah.
there's 9 days till Gen Con. I don't have that kind of time to like boot up Mother Tals and Super Commandos and say, all right, let me break this deck in 9 days.
Yeah.
While still testing other things in case that doesn't work out.
Yeah, well, I guess do you have teammates to help you along that? So your teammates will be playing particular decks and testing those out?
Yeah, for sure. We've been testing kind of a lot. Like Joe and Nick have both been really busy, so I haven't been able to get as many games with them as I would like. And like Joe, they're both pretty set on hero vehicles in like whatever form, like whether it be drive-by or Cuenca rocked me with Rose, Jetta, Partisan, long-term plan the other day, and long-term plan is really, really good. So if I don't want to be playing vehicles, I'm kind of just testing with Reflex and Outrun, who are guys that I test with regularly, and just like random guys from the Hyperloops Discord. Been getting a lot of games with like Brendan Devitt, who top-8'd Worlds. He's been kicking my ass on the regular. So just basically anyone who can give me an L, I'm happy to test against them.
Yeah, that's a pretty good requirement, right? If
Yeah,
you can do that, then you're like, yeah, they're doing all right. They know what's happening.
Yeah, I want to, like, I've lost so many games, and that's sort of how I like at the start of the format. I just don't want the big tournament I'm going to also to be at the start of the format, because I have less time to try and figure out, like, what I think I need to be doing. I'm almost there, but it's tough.
It seems that we have some of the same things that we had in the last format, where we have these pillars that are really kind of strong, they're really dominant pillars. Mm-hmm. And it's almost trying to find something in the middle, or, you know, what's got good matchups versus this, and trying to find something with the best kind of worst matchup, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, I'm
trying to
100%
crack
with
that.
you there. It's just like, yeah, the pillars are shifting, right?
Yeah.
Like Kylo is rising to the top, Mill is rising to the top, and those are two things that weren't really a concern previously. So, and the Mill has become so good that it's like even able to beat aggro, and like, yeah, it's just tough. It's just tough finding ways to win against all those decks. Vehicles, Kylo, and Mill just attack you from 3 different directions.
Yeah.
Mill has legitimately increased my alcohol consumption. In fact, hang on.
Perfect timing.
It's a beautiful sound.
Now this is the next 40 minutes of the podcast.
So we're segueing into Mill now, I guess.
Are we there? I mean, we should definitely touch on like what we think these pillars are. I've been playing a lot of Mill. I haven't been experimenting a lot. I figured kind of early on I wouldn't be able to run and try every single different deck that I want to. So I just kind of picked a deck, and I've just been running with that. And just, I figure if it's still so new that the advantage right now is just having reps. Not everyone's going to have reps. Everyone's going to be like fluffing around, trying different stuff. And if you just get reps with something and just be really good with your deck, I think you definitely get an edge right now until someone, comes out with something ridiculous.
So just to clarify to all our listeners, we're talking about four main deck or archetypes here. We're talking about Kylo Price or Kylo X. We're talking about Cad Snoke. We're talking about the 2 or 3 variants of Mill that are going around at the moment, and the 1 or 2 variants of hero vehicles that are going around at the moment. And they all seem to be at these opposite corners. But there's nothing that consistently beats any of them. In fact, they all kind of prey on each other to some degree.
Yeah, for sure.
I think metagaming is going to be big, based on that. But the challenge is, like, I can metagame. We have store champs coming up. I can, make metacalls on 15 to 20 man events. But how do you metacall for something like Gencon?
Well, yeah, and also you play with those guys regularly, right? Like you're in Perth, so like you're kind of on an island. It's not. I mean, you're literally on an island, but like there's, it's not a huge area, right, of Destiny players. You don't have a ton of stores with like. But yeah, I don't know. I really, I just think that you go off of TTS, and we don't even have really the TTS league to dictate anymore. But I just know from being connected to a lot of good players that a lot of people like Mill, a lot of people like vehicles. I know that, I'm going to have to face drive-by shooting in the hands of Joe. So, and like, he's just like even taking it to store championships and just, not dropping any games. It's just really good with it. He's just getting those reps, like you said, just trying to be ahead by his game knowledge and matchup knowledge.
So, Bobby, where do you think a middle deck stands against those 4 pillars right now? Do you think it is maybe a little bit too slow to deal with the likes of Mill or vehicles that can't really push out the damage that way?
It's weird. Like the thing is, there's just not a lot of good middle options right now, or at least that have risen. A lot of people are just super into the support of Snoke or Price on the villain side, or going 3 wide on the hero side. I tested a lot with Luke and Rey, and it's weird. Like it kind of flipped the vehicle matchup. The vehicle matchup got slightly better, but the Kylo matchup got worse than it did like if you were just playing regular stairs, because you can no longer just jam. Like you can't run 2 Rey's Sabers and use Rey's Saber to bail you out of dying to Kylo quickly. And I tried to make that matchup work. Kylo kills any middle character in 2 rounds. Like if you can survive 3 rounds with Kylo, you're doing good. But I haven't been able to do it consistently.
But then if you can kill Kylo round 3, I guess depending on who the partner is, do you think that puts you in a pretty fair spot?
Yeah, I mean, the sooner you kill Kylo, like basically as soon as Kylo goes down, Price becomes pretty easy to mitigate, and Snoke too. Snoke even easier.
I guess, have you experimented with Luke Poe, or like using an old R2-P2 type shell? So you have the goodies of red, like suppressive fire.
I haven't tried Luke Poe. I guess that seems interesting. I'm always like hesitant with the damage sides, right? Like even in R2-P2 we used Force Misdirection and Guard, and then like Luke Poe loses that. Like you can't really use either of those, which makes things really, really tough in terms of mitigation. Like obviously suppressive fire is really good, and you can still set up some nice all-in plays. And that might have the health to do it. It just I don't know what mitigation you use there. I know like Dex's Diner is like really good in that R2-P2 shell. Yeah,
that's an interesting card actually. I played that for the first time tonight in a mill deck, and at first I wasn't so onto that card, especially with, I guess, 10 health characters. I didn't think you'd really get enough value from it, unless you're able to build up shields and help buffer that final blow so you don't just die, and you try and get good value. So, like you said, in the R2-P2 shell where you're shielding up, you can help soak up a little bit more damage, just keep healing.
Yeah, I think that helps. I think it's really good in the R2-P2 shell. Like, you already have field medic. I think it could potentially be good in, even in even if you were to go with Rey or Ayla and Luke. I just think it's a fine card, and it's gray, which is really important for those monocolored decks right now as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, what about Obi Maz? So, like something I've mentioned. obviously, I like that deck, but I've kind of had some discussions about it. I'm yet to try it. I've been, all this new stuff. I've played so much Obi Maz. But my thinking, like, are we just going back to this format? Are we still just about racing to get that first kill? Like as you said, if you get to take down Kylo, and then you can mitigate one character pretty easy. And Obi being so tanky, like, I always found him the best at trading because he was the biggest dude and he could still hit really hard. Like, does it have a spot now?
But, like, isn't Maz, like, if you're talking about getting a first kill, isn't Maz, out of all these decks, the easiest to kill first? Like, don't you just go in with that weakness right off the bat?
Yeah, but, like, if they're killing Maz and you're trading, so if they kill Maz but then you finish their character, then don't you just have Obi versus Price? Like, you're always going to win there, right?
Yeah, if you can trade Maz for Kylo, sure. That's something you'd have to test and tell me.
Yeah.
Because, Kylo's got just as much health as Obi and has very similar tricks. I think the Kylo decks are going to gravitate towards being Shoto decks and, like, not even really caring about the Shoto dice, but just the consistency of +2 health every round. +1 or +2 health every round, and then, like, so you have Price. Even if they mitigate both Kylo dice and you roll Price, you can still focus that Shoto into a 2 melee side. Like, if that's what you're taking out of a blowout turn where you get completely scooped out of the round by removal.
Yeah. So I've been playing, like, Obi was something on I guess my list. Maybe it's just like a fallback. It's my comfort zone. But a fair bit of mill, and I'm finding that matchup, like, to be okay against the Kylo decks. But I've been playing with the red mill with the docking bay package, whether it's good or not. Sometimes you have to take an early claim or whatnot. And I think this is why so many people are getting upset, because they're like, well, and this is that format, the pillars thing again. They're like, well, if mill can kind of break out, beat the aggro decks, we know it has a good matchup versus vehicles. Is that maybe the deck? Is that, like, mill with reps? See, it's not easy to play though, so maybe mill with reps is, like, where we all should be.
I mean,
I've been Jeremy gets upset.
I've been playing a fair amount of mill too, and it's really tough versus Kylo. Like, I don't know, I haven't been able to successfully navigate that matchup with any ease. It seems to, like, Kylo just hits so hard, and if he's on with his damage calls, with his ability, the clock is just so short, and both those guys being 10 health, or I guess if you're playing the Leia version, you have an 11 health character. But one of the things I loved about the Riken Yoda mill was that all you needed out of Riken was to activate him, and then you just focused both his dice to 2 shields, and you got +4 health every turn.
Right.
And that's something that these mill decks don't have. These mill decks are fast. Cassian's ability is insane. You take a resource and he's essentially got a Yoda die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they hit really, really fast, but I don't think it's fast enough to withstand the onslaught of Kylo.
Yeah, if they get a quick kill and then you lose half of your mill potential.
One card
really
that's been
to finish
really good in mill against things like Kylo or against decks that are trying to aggro you is that Flames of the Past. You mill, you're milling them, and then if you hit any upgrade that they have on table, you just discard it, and that's just 2 less, 4 less damage that you're taking for the next couple rounds.
That should put
I found that to be really, really good.
So do you think there's a deck to beat? Say you have Gencon in 9 days. We have Store Champs, which for us, in our little island, it's pretty important because it's as big as it
for
gets.
Sure. I mean, you just like you fill the container that you're in, right? You're like a goldfish. So, like, if Store Champs is all you have, then, like, those are your championships, and you should be proud of those. It sucks that the prizes are bad, but if you're just trying to be a competitive Destiny player, like, yeah, you just take what you get. I just happen to be able to go to Gencon, but if I couldn't, then I would be all in on my store champs, right?
Yeah. So do we have something that we expect to be... What do we think we're going to see the most moving forward now?
I don't know how you guys feel, but I think Kylo is going to be the number one play deck. What do you guys think?
I could get behind that. It's Kylo or Snoke, right? They're both new. They're both villain. You know, maybe it's just time for villain to come back again. Maybe that's just how the game is going to go. You know, villain into hero into villain.
Yeah, something is awakened.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Kylo's coming in.
Yeah,
strong and hard, and Snoke as well.
Yeah, Kylo always becomes a problem when he gets that 13-point character that he pairs perfectly with, and then that 13-point character gets nerfed. How long is it going to be until Kylo actually gets nerfed because of it?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this a lot, but the 2-player starter sets were not play tested, and like it's very evident based on Phasma, you know, already taking a nerf, and Kylo is so busted, Rey is so busted, Rey's saber is so busted, Crossguard saber is so busted, like. These are all staple cards from a starter deck. You go to any other card game that ever did a starter deck, and those cards are unplayable. Our starter set is like all you need to dominate your store champs is to buy a 2-player starter in 3-packs.
3 packs. What are you pulling?
Hopefully a Dex's Diner.
That's it, sorted. So,
but there was a discussion on the Discord, I think yesterday. I was discussing with some guy who just won a store champs, and he reckons Kylo's perfectly fine. He didn't last very long on the Discord, just basically because, and I think he was a Kylo player. That's like me saying I'm an Ayla player and saying that she didn't need a nerf, but that's another story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but
rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, but the problem Kylo has is he severely limits certain deck building archetypes. Whether you just want to play monocolors, whether you want to play dual colors, but it's only splattered with 5 or 6 red cards or whatever, it does restrict a certain archetype. Like, no one can play mono blue hero at the moment because it just gets ripped apart by Kylo. You probably even struggle to play a Rex deck because it'll just get ripped apart by Kylo. So you have all these decks that have potential moving forward, but can't really be explored or developed because of this one character in the meta.
Yeah, and they when they make him so efficient at dealing damage by giving him, you know, Snoke, who makes his dice resolve at +2, which is insane, or Price, which makes his dice resolve instantaneously at +1, which is insane. That it's that kind of consistent damage coupled with, you know, his damage out of hand that makes things really tough. Like, look at Worlds. You know, 2 people played Kylo Anakin. One of them won the event because it wasn't a consistent deck, but like he's good, and if you catch a bunch over the right matchups, like Edwin did, like he's really, really good. And then like if you're a great player, like that mitigates a lot of the worst matchups. But no one was afraid of Kylo. People played monocolored. Stairs was the most played deck. There was a ton of Sabine. It's just that, you know, he had Anakin to go with him, who is, you know, really, really medium. I mean, really, he's just not even standard playable practically. But, you know, goes and wins Worlds because Kylo's that good.
Are you going to play Kylo at Gencon?
I'm thinking about it. I kind of wish I played it at Store Champ the other day. I was practicing with Joe before the event, and I beat his drive-by with Kylo, like, pretty handily, and I was like, ooh, shoot. But my buddy, who never plays Destiny, like, he's played once or twice a year ago, was coming up to hang out after the event, and he was like, yeah, I'll play in the event, and I couldn't give him drive-by to play, because I think he would have just not known what to do. And Kylo Price is pretty straightforward, so he ran that, and I ran drive-by, and I got smoked, but I had wished that I got the reps with Kylo.
Well, here's a testament to Kylo. So we had our first store champs 2 or 3 weeks ago, and my mate Matt hadn't played Destiny in probably 6 months because he was all in on Netrunner. Then Netrunner got the axe. So I was like, cool, come back to Destiny. He's like, yep, no problem. I said, come to store champs. He goes, what should I play? I said, just play Kylo Anakin. And he top 8. Like,
nice.
Easy. Like, it's just
Right.
one of those
He's
one of
training
those
wheels.
decks. Yeah, yeah.
Because if all else fails, at least you took 2 damage like automatically just from activating.
Exactly.
As long as you remember, which I called my buddy twice to specifically remind him never to forget the Kylo trigger, and he still forgot it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
That's
I
how
just
to
said
nerf
to him,
Kylo.
and majority of the decks there, I said just either call blue or call yellow, and you'll be fine.
Yep. I told him if
and
he
yeah.
sees a vehicle deck, just call red, and anything else, call blue or
Yeah.
yellow.
Yeah. And it's unfortunately it's that easy just to get that free 2 damage. On I Rebel. I Rebel.
I rebel. Yep.
I Rebel. It's and then the cards Rebel. It always confuses me. So Jedi Geeko was talking about potential changes to Kylo, and I thought the comment of 2 indirect rather than 2 direct was actually quite a fair balance to Kylo.
Yeah, I think 2 indirect is kind of interesting. I think like 1 direct would also be fine. Because 2 indirect, if they're like if Kylo just kills their character super quick, yeah, I guess either one's fine. I would love it to be 1 damage, but I've been saying that since Kylo came out. I was like, this is too strong. I don't like this.
Like, how does he get to do 2 damage? Rey does 1, and you have to set up.
Well,
Kylo's just
this-
roll out.
This is my argument to it as well. It was on the Reddit the other day, and I kind of explained how I didn't understand that. And they're like, oh, well, Kylo costs more, and Rey's got more consistent damage, and Kylo loses his ability when you're up against rainbow decks. I'm like, yeah, but Kylo still hits more than Rey. Like, it's easier to ping a shield off Rey than it is to miscall a color.
I don't know. If not the way I call colors.
Yeah.
I always seem to miss. But yeah, I mean, I'll say this, that I've played a lot of Star Wars games, and the dark side's always stronger. The dark side's always going to do more damage. The dark side's always going to have that edge in terms of like raw power level. It's just the thematic top-down design of the dark side of the Force.
That makes sense too, right? It makes
Yeah, I
sense.
mean, he's a rage monster. Like,
and they do their best.
He's
to
going to get
balance.
pissed and do 2 to everybody.
So do we identify, like, we've got Kylo is probably the biggest pillar, right? Like, if you haven't got game against Kylo decks, then you need to build something else. Vehicles. Is there anything else we want to touch on? Like, I guess the other Snoke deck, the Cad Snoke. Is this
Yeah,
just
Jacob
that
mentioned Cad
super
Snoke.
aggressive deck that's, people are
it's-
salting about that as well because
it's
the
really good
insta
against
kills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, really good against Mill. It's really hard to balance that pay side, though. When the set first dropped, this is what I was on, and I liked it a lot. And I only got off of it because people just kind of told me, like, it wasn't good enough. Like, Outrun went and won a store champ, and he was like, yeah, I don't think it's good enough for Gen Con. Those pay sides on CAD are really brutal, and if you don't get like a Truce in your opening hand, or an Enrage in your opening hand, or a 4-speed, I think 4-speed... I don't know if I lost a game when I started with 4-speed. If there was some way to get that in my opening hand, like, I feel like that deck is a monster.
Wait, do you like that card?
I like that card in Cad Snoke because all right, but look at this is the progression. Like, you don't want to roll, like, there's no rush to roll Cad because he insta kills, right?
Yeah.
So you roll out Snoke, you set up that 2 focus, you get the 4-speed special. You insta roll Cad, and with your ambush action, you take the 4-speed, and then you do the 2 focus, and you do all the damage. Like, it's so perfect. It's a built-in all-in every single round. And then, like, also being able to roll Snoke first to try and get resource sides is so huge. If the dark side or villains had Maz's Vault, that deck would be busted.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's missing, isn't it? It just needs that extra resource at the start.
Yeah, it just needs that little bit round 1 because that discard 4 is such a blowout. It gets you so far ahead against vehicles. But if you can't do it, or if they fill up your truce, like, you're screwed.
You have a pretty strong battlefield roll, right?
Oh, you have with Sabine Ezra dead. You have the best battlefield roll in the game, I think.
Yeah. So, like, running maybe Outpost is definitely on the cards. Like, whether you can build around... I guess you could build around Outpost a little bit more with Obi Maz and Sabine Ezra because you had Vault as that backup as well.
Yeah.
But maybe Outpost really helps a lot. That's definitely on the cards to me. I just kind of try to narrow down. I'm like, I'm playing Mill or some kind of Snoke deck because I would rather just be really confident in what I'm playing than try and crack something at this stage.
And you're also a degenerate.
Well, I like to play whatever's strong, sure.
No, I know you do. I'm just... I've taken too many losses to you playing that stupid mill deck.
I've never thought mill was good before. Like, I've never actually thought it was good enough. Unless, you've mastered something. Like, I played Riken Yoda. I tried that Raken Yoda. And I was like, this is okay. I didn't think it was super strong, but it was super strong if you were an absolute master and grinded, 5 years worth of games with it. But this is the first time where I think mill is, like, it's tier 1 top contender. It's so strong.
Yeah, and it's brainless, right? All your dice just, like, if you play Yoda Cassian, every die you have just also mills a card.
Yeah, see, that's really good. And like I said, I've been playing a fair bit of Leia. I think the sequencing, like, because you do have kind of small health, there is some certain play to mill that I've been really enjoying, but it's just counting, right? We're just bean counters now.
Yeah, it's just bean counting and like making sure you take the damage off the table, and you're always looking at their total potential damage output and trying to mitigate that. Red also has like the blowout card of like emergency evacuation, which is just like such so good. I've also really loved Beguile. Beguile is amazing in these mill decks. I love Mind Trick, but Beguile is better than Mind Trick in these mill decks.
Yeah, I really wanted to chat about Beguile versus Mind Trick, but I mean, if you're playing a mill deck, then I think it's a different story. Beguile is just fantastic.
It's so good. You mess with 3 of their dice, like you're re-rolling one, and as long as you're taking it off damage, you're great, because then you can like flip a different one and then remove a third. So it's soft mitigating 2 dice and hard mitigating 1, and the lack of a spot blue requirement is fantastic. And by now, because we've been using Mind Trick in these mill decks and these control decks for so long, everyone knows not to dump all their dice into the pool.
Yeah.
So it's especially good in the yellow blue mill, because people are used to, against the red mill, not walking into an emergency evacuation or a Mind Trick. But with the yellow, it's a little bit, and with easy pickings, it gets so easy to just remove multiple dice in that yellow-blue mill and tangle.
Just
oh my god!
Put them in a tough spot. Like, what do you roll in? What do you hold back? There's so much removal to play around. Like, the hits on different angles.
Right, and that's why Crap is playing. Kylo Price is playing like Tactical Mastery. Like, and I've seen people testing Grand Entrance, like Tactical Mastery Grand Entrance, because I'm going to hit you for 8 right now.
That seems pretty dirty.
Yeah, that's gross.
Pretty dirty.
I think Grand Entrance is just waiting to be busted with Swiftness or Tactical Mastery.
It's really good. It's really fun too, because you have so many YOLO plays. I was playing before Sabine got nerfed. I was playing a lot of Sabine Poe, Poe 2, and I was just having a blast. Being like, I didn't even play Never Tell Me the Odds. I was just all in on the Grand Entrance being my Sabine thing. It's just like, all right, well, I need to roll 15 here, so let's do it. Hit and run Grand Entrance on Sabine. Let's go.
Let's go. Should we move on? We kind of know where we're at now.
Let's
play mill.
Should we touch on a couple of maybe
one
decks?
last thing. Sorry, one last thing on mill. I want to just get your idea about whether it's better to go fast or slow, because that's two very different ways that you can build it.
It's a very provocative question.
I mean, like, obviously the benefits of going fast, you get things like hyperspace jump, or red, you've got retreat. But if you kind of take your time, then you can utilize all these supports and really get the most out of every single die that you have.
Okay, so I this is where I think about this. I think, like, in a perfect world where we're never facing a mirror match, then going slow is fantastic. Like, we'll take their battlefield, we'll take the shields, we'll turn on our ascension guns. I'm talking about the Cassian Yoda right now, but like, turning on ascension gun is really, really good. And, like, I think Leia wants to go a little faster, just because, like, I think it's really tough to not play force speed in the Leia Yoda version, just because being able to roll her out and resolve one of her discard sides with Commando Raid is just too broken. And then if you're playing speeds, then the hit and runs make sense too. You're taking, like, a little bit of a YOLO approach of needing to hit that. You've only got a 50-50 shot of rolling a discard side, but Commando Raid is so strong that it's hard, like, it just blows out their whole hand. It's hard to not roll it with speed. But so my issue comes in is when you're facing a mill mirror and both players brought the command center, and you've built the slow deck and they've built the fast deck, you're gonna get torn up. You're gonna get torn up by that battlefield.
Yeah, you will. I was watching some games you were playing the other day where you were playing the 3-wide blue-yellow variant with Anakin.
Yep.
I think you played against the Cassian Yoda, and just because that was faster, that was the pure reason you lost that one.
Yeah, so I asked to test that matchup with Biggie because I think that 3-wide is really good against any damage deck. I think it's exclusively better than the other mill decks because all that health is so much to chew through, and you don't lose that much. Like Anakin's Pod Racer is basically another Cassian die. It always mills 2, and because of Anakin, you just always turn it to that 2 shield side, and so you get +2 health every round. Yeah. That combination is insane, but my thought was that it would suck in the mill mirror because you could never ever claim, and you would always get torched by the command center. And I was right. It's just like command center or Imperial Palace. I think if you were to play that deck, you almost have to play it. But the thing is, like if you're doing the Ascension Gun plan, you need to bring a mill battlefield. So your opponent, if they're playing a 4-speed version and you're playing a 3-wide version, they're going to take your battlefield. They're going to give you priority, but they're going to claim every time for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
it was close though. The games were close, right?
Yeah, they weren't complete blowouts, but I always felt like I was on the back foot, and I had to do things like claim before I even activated my... Like, even last night, I was testing the mirror with Reflex. He was playing the Leia version, and I was playing the Cassian version, and both my Yoda dice were in the pool. They were on discard, and Cassian hadn't activated yet, but he had already used his whole hand with rerolls, so, like, I just claimed, because the only thing Cassian was going to get me was 2 mil, so I just claimed.
Yeah, just claim.
But I don't think he should have put me in that position to make such an easy claim. I think you have to be a little more savvy to try and get your opponent to not claim early. Yeah, I think that's like one of the huge things about. Yeah, I think as much of milling their deck out is a strategy that you need to completely understand. Also, baiting them into not claiming is also really, really important.
Yeah. And then you try and look for that claim, even if it's like one action early, but like baiting them not to take it. Mm-hmm. And then you get to kind of take it when they're not expecting. I guess you're always trying to play around that from the very start of the turn.
One of the things I like to do is because in a mill mirror you have so many damage mitigation cards because most of the format is damage mitigation, and if your character dies, you're going to lose. And so like you get a hand that's like second chance, force jump, force illusion, and you're like, I can't use any of these cards in this matchup, and like so I won't mitigate their hand discard sides because I want them to discard my hand.
Yeah.
It's the only way, because you can't just pitch them to reroll, and you can't pitch them at the end of the round. They're asking, you're just like taking 3 damage at the end of a round for no reason. So
that's the most frustrating thing to play against in Hero Mill, where they're leaving your hand, but your hand is just full of rubbish cards. Mm-hmm. You can't just discard them. You're giving them free damage right there.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not like... Yeah, I almost like have to play my force jumps just so they don't get stuck in my hand.
Yep. Okay, well, we can move on from Mill now if you want, Clint.
Clint's just gone. He's just like,
I'm
you
just,
guys have this Mill talk.
I'm just sipping on my beer, like going to my happy place.
It does suck, but like, and I don't want to play it, but it's really good. Unfortunately, Cassian's really. They just made 2 really good Mill characters, and despite not wanting Mill to be good, they just like put them on a platter.
Well, that is really the big thing. Is Jeremy's biggest hates in this game is mill and action cheating, and now he's kind of created this paradox where action cheating is the only way to beat mill.
Yeah. Yeah, and the mill decks want to play action cheating themselves.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Blame Lucas. As always, blame Lucas.
Yeah.
All right, so I have one question on that, actually, before we kind of jump on. If you knew that you were going to have 0 mill mirrors, like, do you rate these other mill decks, or are you just all about the Cassian life now? Would you take Leia? Do you rate the Leia Yoda, or are you just like Cassian is the way to go? Milling?
I still think the Leia Yoda is really, really good. I just think that, like, Leia... Like, the Leia Yoda is much, much better at mitigating, and then it also has those blow-up plays of, like, hit and run or 4-speed into, like, Leia's 2 discard side, commando raid, discard your whole hand. Yeah. the Yoda Cassian deck doesn't have that. Like, a couple people have been trying, and I've tried it, but I don't think it's consistent enough. Is a bunch of blue upgrades. Like, you have Force Meditation, Force Jump, Force Speed, Force Illusion, and then Power of the Force to make Cassian's hand, his like discard side be 3 or 4, which I think can be strong. It's just like kind of a magical Christmas land situation where how often are you actually going to pull this off? So I think that the Leia Yoda is good. It's just in that mill mirror, Leia is pretty bad unless you get that miracle playoff.
Yeah, like you get that discard fast before they get to do stuff about it.
Cassian doesn't have any bad sides. Like, damage sides will win you the mirror if the game goes to time. And no matter what you resolve, he's always milling 1. If Leia rolls shield in the mill match, in the mill mirror, like you're trashed. You're toast. Yeah. And it's so easy for yellow mill to just mitigate both of Yoda's dice immediately with Entangle or Easy Pickings, or even Overconfidence and Beguile. It's just so easy to mitigate Yoda. So easy.
Yeah, I think I do like the yellow removal package a little bit more as well. Like, removing the multiple dice, as well as being able to hyperspace jump.
I mean, we saw this, I saw it all Worlds in Sabine. The Entangle and Easy Picking, they're so good. They're just busted. Yeah.
Do you play, or do you rate in the crosshairs, or whatever that 3-cost ambush one is?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think I find it rare that I have that amount of money, and if I do, I kind of want a hyperspace jump. Yeah. But it's a very good card. It's hard to catch everybody sleeping, like I said, against Mill, because they're expecting all their dice to get removed at the same time. So people are just going to like roll a vehicle, resolve it, roll a vehicle, resolve it. But against something like like a 5-dice villain, or maybe like a drive-by shooting, if they're like, I guess drive-by will never leave you with enough money to play it. Yeah, I think it's okay, but it's just not my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. There's not many spots where you wouldn't rather jump and just finish the turn.
Exactly.
Move on. Yeah.
I think that's probably where I'd rather be.
Any final comments on the 4 pillars of Destiny, Way of the Force?
So we've discussed Mill, I think.
Yeah, Mill, Kylo, Cad. Only touched on vehicles.
Yeah, vehicles are vehicles. They're just really good. Like crate speeder, crate resistance speeder is so busted that I'm actually thinking of playing Overload in whatever I play. Just take that off the table. It's so good, and it, like in a Rose deck where you just get to do 3 damage every round with it. It's for two costs. It's just too good.
And I'm guessing that would have a pretty good matchup against Kylo, or one of the better matchups, right? With the health pool and the rainbow.
Yeah.
Although you did say that Kylo beat drive-by shooting the other day.
Yeah, I mean it was one game, but this is what I like about Kylo in the vehicle matchups is probe and close quarters assault is just really disruptive to their game plan, and I was only able to do all that damage because I got a round 1 probe. I don't think he was expecting probe, and he played a vehicle, and I played a rally aid, played a vehicle, and I think he had like 2 mitigation cards and a vehicle left, and I probed and hit both mitigation cards, and I could just freewheel. I just could do whatever I want.
Yeah. I think there could be something to be said about vehicles being slightly easier to tech against if you can attack the hand, which there are many events that let you do that. Whereas if you're coming up against something pure aggro, you can pack in mitigation, but then you're slowing your own game plan down.
Yeah, I think hitting the hand or ending the turn are the 2 really successful strategies against vehicles. It's just there's just not a lot of hand hitting that you can do. Like in a normal damage deck, there's just not a lot of good ways to do it. Close quarters assault, probe, but probe doesn't help you stop them from like ramping out 3 vehicles round 1, which is not unheard of in the Rose decks, because you like roll a resource on your crate speeder and get 2 resources, and then Rose is giving you resources, and then all of a sudden you have 3 vehicles out round 1, and your opponent's facing down this fleet.
And that's when you get stuck, right? When it just starts it just overwhelms you.
Yeah, and I think I think that those decks could I think one thing that's not explored is like a 3-color Rose that can also use if you went Rose, Jetta Partisan, and like Temple Guard, and also played that card that's like draw 3 because you spot a plot with your long-term plan. Like, that seems pretty insane.
Yeah. This long-term plan is really, really good. So we did Sealed, just a very quick... We did Sealed for the first weekend after Way of the Force come out. My pool was pretty good. I had Jabba, Executioner, Anakin? Is that... So, like, my deck was great. I had, decent mitigation, decent upgrades. And I started 2-0, and then I played against 2 decks that both had long-term plan and Com Tower. And it was just insane. In Sealed, long-term plan was mental. But, like, playing against it, that's when, you get a first look at a card. And I was like, this has got to be standard playable as long as you can withstand and kind of get there. So that with any of those dice in the Rose decks, any of those vehicle decks, you're just going to get so much value if you can stretch the game out to go late.
Yeah, and I think like with Rose, Partisan, and you get...
Hello?
I'm trying to move downstairs so my wife can go to work. Just keep... like playing Second Chance to keep those guys alive. Like once you get long-term plan on 2 or 3 resources, any single hit is going to kill your last guy. Even a Partisan 2 indirect or even Rose 2 indirect, like all of a sudden becomes 5 indirect on your last guy, and they haven't even rolled their Hawk or their Crate yet. Forget about it.
Yeah, huge. So, all right, that's where it's at.
All right.
I guess we've discussed the meta, where we think it's at. So that Rose Partisan kind of come in late to the discussion, but it fits in that vehicles part, I guess, in one of the pillars. But I think
there's
that's definitely one to watch.
Yeah, there's a million ways to do the vehicles. People have been playing Yoda, Rose, Gungan, or Yoda, Rose, Jawa, just to keep Yoda and Rose. The amount of money you can make is just completely absurd.
Yeah.
So it's just all about getting those vehicles out, and there's just not really a good way to remove them. I like the N1 Starfighter in a vehicle's mirror, but especially in a Yoda version, I think in drive-by, you have to play at least one N1. And then if I was doing the Yoda Rose thing, I would certainly consider running 2 N1s in that. And then if you're doing a villain vehicle, you have a TDP to remove a support. But there's really just not another way to just dumpster vehicles once they're on the table.
Yeah. Let's move on to... So this, we kind of set this up a while ago. We wanted to make sure that we have a cast coming out before we have a bit of a run of store champs in Australia. And one of the reasons that I brought this up and wanted to do this was I received this infamous pep talk at Worlds. So I wanted to bring you on, man. I wanted you to, give Australia one of these pep talks. So a very brief story.
Yeah, tell the story about what happened.
So I was playing in the second last round of day 1, playing against Drive-By. I made a bit of a bold play. So Maz was Obi was gonna die. There was enough indirect where someone was gonna die. Obi had 2 redeploys, so I let Obi die, switched him to Maz, rolled out, blanked, rolled out, re-rolled, blanked. Then we went to the end of the turn. I discarded my hand trying to find my second jump so I could roll out with Maz, get some damage, and then jump. I didn't get it. Looked through my discard, seen both of my jumps there. So I was just tilted at this stage. So I kind of tilted off. Time got called because the game was so close. It was insane. Time got called, and then I had a quick look at the board state. Didn't see an out because I kind of went on tilt, shook hands, scooped to my opponent, and then walked off. Walked outside for a cigarette, and then Bobo comes out. Just with this pep talk of, man. But it was so inspiring. It was dude, it was there. Showed me the play. Normally someone comes out and they're like, whatever. It was man, you had this play. It's all good, You got this. Just get your head right.
Yeah, so you just have to see. Yeah, go ahead.
Just going on tilt after 1 or 2 things, I'm all right. It was just this multiple things in a row, and I was just man, I've lost this, Instead of just shutting up and just looking everywhere for my out. So I got this insane pep talk from Bobo. It was just so inspiring. It was man, you can do this, you got this, blah, 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 all this stuff, and you can give one to the whole of Australia.
Jesus, the whole continent?
Yeah, everyone. The whole island. Then I walked inside, played my last match, started so far behind, and then just kind of gave myself this pep talk. I just replayed this Bobo pep talk in my head and was I'm not going home. And then from that point, I went into the zone, the deepest I probably have ever played before. You know, I was just, everything was cause and effect. I was just like 3 actions ahead, and I feel like I completely played my way out of one of the worst spots I've been in. I took the win and made day 2.
Did you have one of those like movie montage moments where it's like the music's playing, it's a sideways pan, and there's all these like superimposed dice like rolling across your face, and you're like super focused? Yeah, I mean, well, you did. I mean, you let your rage miss a play. Like, you had outs. And I know, like, a couple people were like, don't go talk to him. Just let him blow off steam. And that's, like, the exact opposite of what I would want. I would want someone to say, you had outs, you could have won that game, but you lost it mentally. You didn't screw up by, like, making bad decisions. You lost it mentally before you even have the chance to make a decision. Yeah. And you're there, and you're good, and you're the national champion of Australia, and you're like, I want to show up, and I want to rep. And who are these jabronis that I'm losing to? And the thing is, like, you just have to look at yourself, and, like, everyone is that. Everyone is that person who can be better than the person across from them. It's all about recognizing what you can do with the dice, with the cards, with the actions you have available, and not letting a single thing bother you. Like, the zone thing is super important. I caught a lot of on the stream for like wearing my headphones before matches, but I don't want any distractions. I don't want to think about anything other than what battlefield I'm taking and what my mulligan is. I don't want to hear people talking. I don't want people talking to me. And then there's you guys might remember the judge call, like the contentious judge call where this guy wanted to mislead my die, but it was a 3, and then didn't want to mislead his own die, so he was like arguing to get it taken back. That lasted 10 minutes. That could have easily put me on tilt by not going my way. But I wasn't going to let that. I wasn't going to let that send me home from Worlds when I'm undefeated. Like, I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to not let any single emotion enter this match, no matter what, under any circumstances. Even when I got called a cheater at Worlds. Yeah. Like, I reacted and then it was done. I had to get over it, because if I let that affect me, like, you have to understand that the mind is the single strongest part of your being. It's like the strongest muscle in your body, more strong than your tongue, guys. Yeah. And it's just mind over matter. And if you believe and you know that what you're capable of, is you'll just never lose. Yeah, as you proved, So that was something I wanted to touch on. Everybody, was that a good enough pep talk? Everybody, there's your pep talk from the one and only BobbySapphire. We brought him on just for you, so make sure you tell all your friends and give us a like, because this is what we do for you. I felt like I was in teacher mode there.
When are you on Oprah?
Does she still have a show? I'll go on. Does she play Destiny?
She does here in Australia, Bobby. We're still running replays.
You're still running the 1989 season?
Yeah, isn't that the latest season? It just come out. That's what they're telling us. Anyway, I really appreciate that. So that getting in the zone thing is massive. Like, I feel, for me playing competitive games, that's one of the only challenges is being able to consistently rock up to a tournament, whatever tournament that is, and just switch on. Because, like, we all know what it's like when you get in that zone. When you're having one of those days and you're playing in an event and you are unstoppable, you just play to your best. You're just always so far ahead of what everyone else is doing. If you can get deep enough into the zone and you can be thinking and seeing, 3, 4, 5 actions down the track. So apart from headphones, do you have anything else for us? Like you said, emotions, is that your goal, is just to block out all emotion and just play?
Yeah, that's been my life goal for about the last 35 years. It's just to block out all emotions and play games and just not feel anything. So, like, I feel like I have an advantage there because I've been cultivating an emotionless life. So, like, I was on the no distraction plan. Blake, you probably know this because we talked, and like you guys might have even seen in the Hyperloops Discord. I was like all about no distractions. I wasn't playing X-Wing. I wasn't looking at previews for the spoilers. Like, I didn't want to do anything that wasn't Destiny. Nothing was gonna like shake my goal. So, and then like, at the events, like, I just hang out with my friends. I try not to do a lot of schmoozing on the day that I'm playing. Like, I like meeting new people and stuff, but not on days I'm playing. And I don't want to talk about my games that much. I just want to like hang out with my friends, help them with theirs, internalize, and just like really not pay attention to what's going on. Like, I don't look over and see what games are going on next to me. I just stay really focused. If I see myself getting distracted or bored, I just try and think about all the things that they could have in their hand. What do I think their next 3 actions are going to be? Just things like that, just like little mental exercises to keep you engaged in your game and not looking around the room and like seeing what other people are rolling.
Yeah, sweet. So, Store Champs coming up, Gencon coming up. Everyone go and buy your headphones.
And what do you listen to, Bobby?
So I listen to a lot of Australian music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm really into Amy Shark and Keita Alexander and Alex Leahy and Peking Duck, if you know any of those guys.
I'm sure they listen to our podcast, all of them.
Yeah, hopefully Keita Alexander does. If she does, tell her I said what's up.
You tell her yourself now.
Hey, Keita, call me, girl. Yeah, I don't know. Like I like just happened across Amy Shark in a Spotify playlist, and then I started making her my default Spotify channel, and just turned into all Australian music because I guess that's how they do it. So now I just have all these Australian groups and bands. At Worlds, I listen pretty exclusively to this one song by Peking Duck before every game. I hear that a lot of Genius people do repeat the same songs, in just anything that they're doing. I'm not saying that I'm a genius. I'm just trying to copy people who are.
It, but...
I know that if you guys know who Brian Kibler is, he's a big Magic pro and Hearthstone pro. He was famous for that. Just every tournament, one song, and he would post the song on his Twitter or whatever. And was "This is the song for this Grand Prix. This is what I'm listening to nonstop."
Yeah,
wow.
right.
I think that makes sense. If it helps you get in the zone, your body will kind of accustom to it and will automatically get into that really focused state of mind. If that's what you relate to when you listen to that song.
Yeah, it's like a little life hack, right? If you focus before your game and you're shuffling and you're thinking and you're listening to the same song, when you put that song on every time, you're going to go back to that mind state.
Yeah, that's a good addition to that. It's just kind of going to mentally trigger that.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Like any habit.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. I like that.
Okay.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your inspiring words, BobbySapphire.
Yeah, is that it? You didn't have any hard, awkward questions?
Time for hard, awkward questions.
I've got nothing.
Okay. You guys set me up that you made me feel like I was going to have to answer some tough questions.
I want to test some Australian trivia on you, Bobby, because I'm sure that Blake would have talked about Australia quite a bit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
While he was over there.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Australian slang word that Blake would have taught you, or that you already know?
You guys are throwing me off with rate today. Do you rate this? Do you rate that? That means do you think it's good?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I never heard that before. I don't know. Because you rate it that'd be how I wouldn't necessarily say I rated good. We have bad ratings too here in America. We rate things poorly. I just honestly I love cheers. I love I can every time I read Blake's messages in the chat and stuff, I just I hear him talking, I hear his voice. He's oh, cheers, man. It's just perfect.
That was a great Blake impression right there.
Yeah,
it was pretty close.
I've been working on it. I'm laughing too hard to get the serious voice down.
I still remember the first night in the house, I would just talk, I would say a sentence, and everyone would just look at me what did he just say?
Yeah.
But I can't hear it, and I even tried to speak with spaces between my words, because that's our thing. We just kind of string everything together, and I was all right, just got to pause between each word.
Yeah.
And everyone's still what was that?
It's like talking to a 3-year-old.
Yeah, cheers, man.
I think I know what he said, but I'm not sure.
Just nod, yeah.
All right, cool.
All right, sweet. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No problem. Any last comments from everyone?
You go first, Mike. You're the guest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really scared about Gencon. I've been losing so many games. I really don't know what to do right now. I mean, I like losing, so I like, losing a bunch of games and going into a little cocoon and trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I've actually been winning quite a bit over the last night I won a few games with 5 Dice Villain. So don't sleep on me busting that out. And I still really like Snoke, Bazine, First Order Trooper. If the hero vehicles weren't so much better than the villain vehicles, I would probably be on that. I love snoking. Sabine's discard side. It's so good.
Sabine.
Bazine. Is that a Freudian? That was
Freudian
truly Freudian.
You're playing solo Sabine.
Don't even talk to me about solo Sabine.
Jacob, I'll say this: it's built. It is built, and
built and ready.
It took me a long time to find a bravado, but I have one.
Very good.
Blake, hot take for Store Champs?
I'm 99% to play Mill. So that's pretty much the only thing I played. I would just, whatever you decide to play, I think you just need to get reps in. I've got a bit of experience of fluffing around with different decks and then deciding 2 days before I'm trying to rep. So now I'm just going to rep 1 or 2 decks, and I think that's what you should be doing. I think that's how you get an edge right now for the next couple of weeks, because it's still so fresh that as long as you just play your deck like an expert, I think you have a massive edge.
Jacob,
Obviously, you
hot
can't
take?
play trash. You play something good like an expert.
I really want to try and make Afro work, so I've been playing a few games lately on TTS with that, but to be honest, I haven't run it against the Gauntlet, and I'm not sure if it would be good enough against it, but I'm going to try my hardest to get that going. Otherwise, I'm pretty keen to bring back the Blue-Red Shield Marathon, most likely with Luke and Poe. I want to see that just tank up and survive against all odds. I think it's got really consistent dice as well, which helps it out with the mill match. If you can't reroll or you don't want to discard to reroll, you can just consistently get a good amount of damage per round.
Yo, if you play that on TTS, let me know. I want to see that.
All right, I'll hit you up.
Fair. So I think I'm sort of narrowing down on something. There's a 5-die vehicles list I've been working on that I quite like. Elite Ezra, Elite Rose, Temple Guard. That hasn't been doing too bad, but again, it's got a pretty bad mill matchup because the guard's pretty much useless in that particular matchup. I feel there's something maybe to investigate with 3-wide built to last as well. So I'm investigating that a little bit, and if all else fails, I'll probably just go with some action cheaty deck. If I'm not comfortable with something with probably Ray 1, to be fair.
Sure. Just give yourself something that can nut roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just do that, everyone. Just nut roll people.
Yeah, when in doubt, just God roll.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just roll 3s.
Just roll
advice from
3s.
BobbySapphire.
Just roll all the 3s.
Just roll all the 3s. You'd
Job
be
done.
surprised at how many 3s Solo Sabine can roll as well.
Did you just pop a bottle of beer top when you said that?
No, that
but-
was me.
But you've given me an idea.
My daughter's
Isn't it
playing.
the morning?
My daughter's playing with checkers and right next to me.
Oh, sure.
I thought you were just starting hard, Bobby.
Yeah. It's like, whatever, I'm on summer holidays.
Summer
Popping
holidays.
Summer holidays.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Bobby.
Yeah, anytime, guys.
We appreciate it muchly. Thanks for the pep talk. We hope everyone has enjoyed this episode with BobbySapphire. Thanks for your time, everyone, and we will catch you in the next episode.
Catch ya.
See ya.
Cheers.